We'll talk to Paul shortly, but first, Mike Huckabee. The New York Times said the other day, the governor, you've become the flavor of the week. And I noticed that the executive director of the Republican Party out in Iowa now says that you could win Iowa in his estimation. Has anything changed in your campaign, or why this sudden attention that you're getting?
Well, we like to think it may be the Chuck Norris endorsement. People are now afraid not to vote for me. But whatever the reason, I can tell you this, Bob, it's on fire. And in Iowa earlier this week, we would have 2 and 3 times, sometimes 4 times the size of crowds we were anticipating or prepared for. In New Hampshire, it's been the same thing. And these are not just people who kind of come casually. These are folks who are ready to sign up and who are ready to walk through 8 feet of snow to get to the polls. We've had to upgrade our web server 3 times in 1 week. We've had to hire people to answer the phones and come in and open the mail. So something's working. I don't know all to explain it myself. I think it's a combination of a lot of people praying and a lot of people working. But it's really happening, and it's pretty exciting for us.
And for those who don't follow these things as closely as I do, perhaps, Chuck Norris, of course, is a kickboxing champion and was the star of Walker, Texas Ranger. You're also getting attacked by some of the other candidates now. Governor, I noticed that Fred Thompson said the other day that you are just a pro-life liberal. What's your response to that?
Well, Bob, as you know, the Hollywood writers are on strike, and Fred's kind of hurting for some lines, and that's the best he could come up with. He's only half right. I am pro-life, but far from a liberal, and he certainly should know that. I mean, I've managed a state budget, every year balanced it, left the state with a surplus, cut taxes 94 times, passed pro-life, family-friendly legislation, strong defender of the Second Amendment. Give me a litmus test of conservative issues, and I passed the test. But you know what? This is a sign that we're very alive. It's a real form of flattery when you start getting attacked, because no hunter points his gun at a dead carcass. You only shoot for the things that you want to put on the wall. So Abraham Lincoln once said, Bob, that when he got ran out of town on a rail, if it weren't for the honor of it, I'd just soon pass. I kind of feel that way about some of the attacks we've endured over the past couple of weeks. And frankly, they're going to get worse. We understand that. We're braced for it. But, you know, I survived Arkansas politics, became an elected Republican, which is a pretty oddity, a pretty rare oddity in that state. And I'm sure we'll be seeing some more of that before it's over.
Governor, you were also a Baptist minister at one point in your life. You've obviously been seeking the evangelical vote. What did you make of Pat Robertson endorsing Rudy Giuliani?
I can no more explain that than I can, you know, him saying he prayed the hurricane off the coast. I just don't fully understand it. I salute Rudy for getting it. Wish I'd had it, but I don't. But here's the good news for me. I believe that if you look at the value voter debates over the past several weeks, we've won every one of them, not just by a squeak, but got more votes than all the other candidates put together in Washington, in South Carolina, and in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So if even it's so that some, not all, but a few of the leaders of some in the Christian movement are confused and not sure who to support, the followers are pretty clear about it. And they have overwhelmingly rallied to us. And frankly, I'd rather have thousands of supporters than just one of the leaders from time to time.
Well, do you think that this means that abortion is not going to be an issue, at least in the race for the Republican nomination? Are evangelicals and others? Because I noticed various leaders in the evangelical movement are endorsing different candidates at this point. Do you think that this is not going to be the issue that it has been in the past?
It's a moral position. And one of the things that becomes troubling is when candidates say, well, I believe in the sanctity of life, but I want the states to decide it. You know, Bob, when you put it in those terms, that's really the logic of the Civil War, to say that morality has geographical boundaries. For those of us who believe that life is precious, that it is really representative of the heart of our society and culture, that each life has equality of worth and intrinsic value that can't be compromised, once you've made that commitment to life as one of those very special inalienable rights that our forefathers talked about, you really don't have the opportunity to say, well, it can be different in one state than it would be in another.
Well, let me ask you this. There's been some talk that you might be a good running mate for Rudy Giuliani if he got the nomination, because you're pro-life, he's pro-choice. Could you be on a ticket with Rudy Giuliani or someone else who is pro-abortion?
Well, that's a question I hope I don't have to face. And after we do so well in Iowa and New Hampshire that I get the nomination, then I won't have to face it. But it's going to be asked, and my only answer is that, that's a question that is months away. Right now, Mike Huckabee's trying to be in the center ring, getting the gold medal. My goal is not to see the silver or the bronze.
But you're not ruling out something like that if you should be offered it. You're not saying right now that I wouldn't under any circumstances accept.
I'd rather say, would I consider Rudy to be my running mate than would I be Rudy's?
Okay.
And I just don't know. I haven't figured that one out yet. But, you know, I have respect for him. At least Rudy does tell us what he thinks, and that's refreshing, and that he's honest and forthright about his positions.
Let's talk about one thing. You've been a governor. You've dealt with domestic issues. Do you have any experience whatsoever in the area of foreign policy?
You know, most governors have more experience than people realize. I mean, I've traveled to nearly 40 countries. I've dealt with not only multinational trade agreements with corporations, but also with heads of state. So it's not that uncommon for governors to do trade missions and to engage in conversations with, both from a diplomatic perspective as well as a trade and cultural exchange perspective, with people across the globe, whether it's in Asia, the Middle East, where I've traveled extensively. I've been to virtually every country in the Middle East, including Iraq and Afghanistan and Kuwait and Israel and Lebanon and even Syria and a host of countries over the course of my lifetime.
Let me just ask you this question. If you were president right now, what would you do about Pakistan?
Pakistan presents a unique problem. We've spent $10 billion since September 11th, supposedly trying to find Osama bin Laden and bring some level of cooperative agreements. I think President Bush has done a good job of bringing the Pakistan government and Musharraf back to reality that the suspension of the Constitution is not acceptable to us. We have to understand that there is a real threat to us in Pakistan, in that if we have another terrorist attack, Bob, there's a good likelihood that it's going to be postmarked Pakistan. That's where Osama bin Laden is hiding, somewhere in those caves.
All right. Well, Governor, we want to thank you for being with us this morning. We'll be back in just a moment.